If you are working on a Next.js project, one of the best way to handle your authentication is using Auth.js library, formerly known as Next-Auth. So today we are going to learn how you can use Auth.js with Next.js application. We will see all the different ways how you can protect your resource with Auth.js. We will see how you can protect your routes with middleware, how you can do a component level protection, how you can do protection in a server component or a client component. So all the different ways how you can use Auth.js in your Next.js application, all the things we will see in the video. We will also see how you can authenticate your user with OAuth providers. We will see how you can set up your Google and GitHub providers with Auth.js. So a lots of things we will learn in the video. I hope you guys will like it. So without further ado, let's get started. So here, first of all, let's see what we have. So basically I have few pages here. So one is the home page, and here in the home page I have a client component and a server component, you can see. And after that I have my account page where I will show my user information. And finally I have this login page with a couple of buttons, login with Google and login with GitHub. And all of this code will be available in the GitHub. So if you want to explore with this code, you can get the code from the GitHub. The link will be in the description. So first of all, we need to install Auth.js in our application. You can see they have this nice documentation, and you can use Auth.js with Next.js and other frameworks, you can see. So come here in the Next.js. So let's click this. So first of all, we need to install the package. So copy the command and paste it here, and it will install the package. And after that we need to set up the environment, and we need to create a auth secret environment variable, and for that we can use Auth.js CLI, and we need to run npx auth secret. Run it here. Npx auth secret will create a environment variable in your .env file. Since I already have this auth secret, it's saying that should I overwrite. So let's actually overwrite. If I come here in our env.local file, you can see I have this auth secret generated by our auth CLI. And after that we need to configure some files, and the first file is the auth.ts file. So this file will contain all the configuration for our Auth.js. So auth.ts file at the root of your application. But what I will do is, since I'm using source, and inside the source I will create a new folder with the name of auth, and inside that I will create that file. The file name I will use is the auth setup. So you can name it anything, whatever you want, but you need to be sure that whenever you will import things from this file, you are using the correct path for this file. So I just named it auth setup. You can name it anything, and I just created it inside the source folder, you can see here. Okay, so what is happening here? So first of all, we are actually importing the Next.Auth from the Next.Auth, and we are just calling it, and we are exporting these things from the Next.Auth. So we have the handlers which we will use to handle all the API requests in the route handler, and after that we have the sign in and sign out function to sign in and sign out our user, and after that we have this auth which we will use it in our application to check the authentication. So inside the Next.Auth function we have these objects, and here we'll have all of our configuration. Right now I'm having the providers and it is empty right now. So that's all. That's the bare bone configuration that is needed by Next.Auth. And if I save that, after that we need to create the route handler here, you can see. So it will be inside the app/api/auth/ .next-auth/route.ts. The file name is the route.ts, and we need to create it inside all these folders. So inside the app directory you can create a new file. So in VS Code, whenever you want to create a new file, you can actually say all the folders that will be nested. So like here, the file will be inside of API, inside of auth, inside of Next-Auth. So the square bracket .next-auth, closing a square bracket, and after that the file name route.ts. So it will create all these three folder, which is API, auth, and the Next-Auth. So inside the route.ts I can just paste it. So here I have this error. If you remember, we actually changed the name of our auth configuration file, so it is auth setup. So that's why it is actually saying that this file doesn't exist. So I'm saying that it is inside the auth. Inside the auth we have auth setup file, from that file we can actually import the handlers, and this is these handlers that we are importing. So from this handler we can have the get and the post. So this will handle all the get and post request which will come to this endpoint. And if you are thinking about this folder .Next-Auth, this is actually a dynamic route from Next.js. So if you come here in the Next.js documentation, under the dynamic routes, if you come to the catch all segments, so this is what they are using. So if you want to learn more about this, you can come here. So basically what it's saying that, so after the endpoint, whatever the path will be, we will catch it as the parameters. So here is saying that if I send /a, it will catch the /a as a parameter. So it doesn't matter what I send after the endpoint, it can be one or multiple, it will catch all the path as a parameters and it will send it to the route, and our route.ts will handle those things. We don't need to worry anything else. So the last thing that we need to do is the middleware. We need to set up a middleware, and for that you can create a middleware.ts in your root of the folder. So it should be in the root of your file structure. Since I'm using the source directory here, it will be in my source folder. And inside this middleware.ts we can just paste this. Again we will have this error since we just changed the name, so it will be inside of auth setup. So from the auth setup we are actually importing the auth. So if you remember this auth, so we are importing that and we are exporting it as a middleware inside of our session management, and inside that we have this protecting resources. Here you can find all the ways how you can actually protect your resources with Auth.js. So what I'm interested in is the Next.js middleware part. So you can use Next.js middleware to protect your resource. Here you can see this is what we are already doing, and after that we need to define authorized callback in our auth.ts file, and this is the callback that we wanna add. So let's actually copy this all things with the callbacks and come here in our auth setup. So this is the configuration file for us, and just paste it. So in this authorized callback you can see we have this function, and here we have our auth. So inside the auth you can see if you hover, it will give you some TypeScript magic here, you can see. So the auth will contain a session or null. So we will make this auth a boolean value, so by these two exclamation sign, so it will be true or false, and we'll return that from this function. So based on the value of our auth we can say it will be a authorized user or not. And by default the Auth.js, what it will do is it will actually authorize a user, or otherwise it will redirect the user to the login page, and we will see it in a moment. And after that, if you want to add more logic, you can actually do that here in your middleware.ts. So right now I'm actually using middleware.ts and I'm just exporting the auth. What you can do is you can actually copy this. Instead of exporting the auth directly like this, you can do this. It will be from the auth setup file. So here what we are doing is that we are having the auth from our auth setup, and now we can call this auth. So inside the callback we can configure what we want to do when he is visiting to a route. So in this example what it is saying is that if the user is not authorized and he is trying to visit a page that is not login page, which means he is trying to visit a protected page and he is not logged in that case redirect him to the login page. So let's actually see if it is working or not. So if I come here in our application, so now you can see whenever I'm actually trying to go to a page, it's actually redirecting me to the login page. So similarly you can do any other things, like if a user is logged in and he is trying to visit a login page, in that case you can actually say you are already logged in and redirect him to the home page or the dashboard. Similarly you can do that as well here. We will not do it like this, we will keep the all things default. So default what you will do is whenever I will go to a page, it will redirect me to the login page or the sign in page for the Auth.js default sign in page. So this is the default sign in page from Auth.js. So whenever we will have a provider like Google provider, it will give you the option automatically to log in with Google. So this sign in page, so it is the default sign in page from Auth.js. So since we already have a login page, we can use that. We will not use a default sign-in page. And to set up that, what you can do is you can come here and say the pages, and inside the pages, so it will be an object actually, and inside the pages we can actually set up these all pages. So error page, new user page, sign-in page, and the sign-out page. In our case, I am interested in the sign-in page, and I want the sign-in page, the login page that we have. So if I save that, and now if I come here in my website, instead of okay, so you can see I have the content of our login page. So the content is the login with Google and the login with GitHub, so which means it is redirecting us to the login page. But the problem is that we are not having any kind of CSS here. So because Auth.js is actually running this middleware in all the routes that is available, so we do not want that. We want to specify in which route it should run, and for that we need to come here in our documentation, and if I scroll down here, you can see we can actually use the matcher to specify in which route this middleware should run. And I can copy this and paste it here. So this config, and inside the config we have this matcher. So in the matcher you can actually pass any kind of a string. So here you can also pass the regular expression. So this one is a regular expression, you can see. So in this regular expression, what I am saying is that run this middleware in every route, in every page, except API and the next static and the next image and the fab icon ICO, and run in every other route that is available. So when I do that, if I come here in our website and refresh, now we will have our all the CSS back and all the other things that is necessary, which is coming from our this static images and fab icon ICO and the API, free from our middleware, and all the other routes will be protected by our middleware. So I cannot still visit our home page and the my account page, you can see. So whenever I try to visit this two page, it is redirecting me to my login page, the login page that we set up here. And that's all. And after that we need to add our providers. So how we want to actually authorize our user. So if I come here in the authentication, I can see the ways we can actually authorize or authenticate our users. So in this tutorial we will only use OAuth, and specifically we will use Google and the GitHub. Basically all the other OAuth will be similar, but we will use Google and the GitHub. So let's go to the Google. So for Google OAuth, first of all you need to create a OAuth application in Google developer dashboard. So console.cloud.google.com, that is the developer account for Google, and here you need to create the application. So right now I am in my application. I already have this project here, you can see. So what you can do is you can create a new project here. So I already have some of the project, so let's actually create a new project. So let's go to this project, so the new project that I created, and here go to the API and service. So here you can see the API and services, or if you do not have this, you can come here and you can go from here as well. So the API and services, you will see the OAuth consent screen. So here you can check a user type, internal or external. We can select external, and after that you need to provide your the name of the application. And after that we have this app domain. We do not need to put anything right here right now, we can skip that. And after that the authorized domain and the developer contact information, this one is required, I guess. So you can provide the developer contact information. I will put my email here, and after that we can save and continue, I guess. And the second thing is the scope, and here we need to actually specify what information we need from our Google OAuth. And you can have these all things. You can have open ID, user profile information, email, and other things. I will keep the default scope that we have, which means there will be nothing except the name and the email. And again, you can just adjust it from here. And after that we can see the test users, and here if you have test user you can add it here. I do not have anyone, but after that you will have a summary, and that's all. And after that let's go to the credentials. Since we already have the OAuth screen, we can create our new credentials, and let's create a new credentials, and it will be for OAuth client ID. And here we need to select our application type. It will be a web app, and the name, so this will be an internal name to identify the application. So you can name it anything so that you can identify. And here we need to put our redirect URI. So we need to put our redirect URI. And for that, if I come here in our documentation, you can see it's saying that the URL should be /API/auth callback Google, and before that whatever the origin. So in our case, since we are testing it in our localhost 3000, so this is the origin. So let's come here and put it, and after that whatever the origin, after that we need to add this /API/auth callback and Google, and that's all. So this is the complete redirect URI. So once the authentication is complete, it will redirect the user to this URI, and our Next-Auth will handle these things. So create this, and once you create that, it will give you the client ID and the client secret. So you can copy that, but before you copy that, come here in the Next-Auth. You can see we need to create these two variables, which is the Google ID and the Google secret, which is the client ID and the client secret. Copy this, and here in our .env file we can paste the variable, and we can actually replace with, here we can replace it with client ID. So here inside the quote we can paste our environment variable value, and for our client secret, copy this, and inside the quotation, double quotation, we can paste our value. And after that we need to set up the provider, and for that we can import Google provider from Next-Auth providers/Googles, and I can just copy that and paste it here. And after that we need to use it inside the providers. So inside the providers, Google. So that's all. And the next step is the adding the sign in button, and for that we can use the sign in from our, the Next-Auth. From the Next-Auth we are actually exporting this sign in, this signing function. We can use it in our button. So here is our login page. So we can have a form, and inside the form we can have our server action. So let's try this. So copy this form, and this button should be, so this button will be the inside of our form, and wrap the button with this form. So now our form, which is tapping our button, so whenever I will click this button, this form should be submitted. So for that I need to say type will be submit of this button. So this will be a server action, which means we can run our server functionalities here. So this sign in import will come from auth/auth setup, which means from our configuration. So now let's actually try it, and if I click that, now you can see it is redirecting me, and here you can actually authenticate your user, and it will redirect you to your application. So now once we are logged in, I hope that we can now go to these pages. So if I come here in the home page, I can see I can come to the home page and also in the my account page. So here in our my account page I have this static information. So let's actually get the real information from our logged in user. So we can use the auth that are coming from our auth setup. So for that I can say session is equals to await auth. So whenever I will call the auth, it will return the session, but it's saying that we cannot await it because it's not an async function. And this function, this page is a server component, which means we can use async here. And after that we can check the session and return whatever we want if there is no session. If there is no session, which means you are not logged in, we can actually say that as a message here, you can see. And after that, if there is session, and in that case I can say what will be the user, constant user equals to session.user. Now I have the user, and here I can just put the user dot name, user dot email, and if I do that, I can see here is my name and here is the email that I'm logged in with. So this is how you can actually get the information in a server component. So since this is a server component, you can use directly the auth that is coming from our auth setup, and after that you can just have a check if there is a no session. In that case it is not logged in. So you will not probably see this message because this page is actually protected by our middleware, and here we are actually double checking it. If there is no session, we are actually returning it from here. And now here let's actually update this login button. Right now we are login, which means it should be a logout button. So inside the layout we have these links, and here first of all let's actually check the state of the user, if it is a logged in user or not. So session equals to await, and we can use the auth here once again, and here you can make it a async function. and after that, using that session, you can say it is a logged in user or not. Session.user, if I have a user, which means I'm a logged in user, which means I need a logout, and otherwise I will have a login, and I can just have this login button. Instead of the h1, I will have the similar thing here, so paste it here, but it will not be a login, it will be logout, and also it will not be a link, and it will be a button, and on click we can actually log out. And for that I will use form action here, so it will be the same thing that we did previously. So here I will say form action. Inside the action we will do our things, but before that let's wrap the button with the form. And inside the action, sorry, inside the button, first of all I need to say type will be the submit, and here in our action we can make it a server action, and here I can say async function, and inside the async function we can say use server, and after that I can say await the sign out. This sign out will come from our sign out, so now it will sign out the user whenever I will click it. Okay, you can see now I'm sign out. I cannot visit these pages, I need to re-authenticate, and now whenever I am re-authenticated, I can see I can have the information in my account. Okay, fine, the sign logout is working, and also beside the logout we can show the images here, and here you can see I have this image, and here inside the image I'm just actually using the user.image and user.name for the alt, and that's all. This is coming from next image, and if I save that, I should be able to see. So the image for our Google account avatar is coming from an external hostname. I need to add this hostname in our next configuration. So now I have my image. You can see in the right corner I have image. I just need to add the protocol, and basically I need to just add the hostname here. You can see, so this hostname from where the image is coming from. So inside the authentication, if I come here for our GitHub, so first thing is will be the same. We need to go to our GitHub account, go to the settings, and here in the developer settings you will have the OAuth apps, and I already have a OAuth apps. I can create a new one for you. So let's say that YT recording, so I will make it HTTP localhost 3000, and the callback URL, so this is the origin if you remember, and the callback URL will be api/auth/callback, and after that the whatever the provider. So basically this part will be changed based on the provider. So we just copy this and paste it here, GitHub, and that's all. I can register a new app, and after that I can have this client ID. Come here and copy these two variables in your .env file, paste it here, and the client ID, copy this and replace the client ID and generate a new client secret, my secrets, and copy that secret and paste it here. So that's all. Finally I can go to our provider and import the GitHub one, and /GitHub, I guess this is the one, and we need to just put it here, GitHub, and that's all. So previously we saw how we can actually sign in using server action. We can do that here for the GitHub, but I also want to show you how you can do it in a client component. So let's actually remove that and make this one a client component with use client. Okay, so now this is a client component, and to sign in the client component, what you need to do is you need to on click, you need to call sign in, and this sign in will come from Next-Auth/React. So remember, Next-Auth/React. From that you can actually import sign in, and you can use this sign in the client component, and it will do the exact same thing. So since I'm using that here, I can also use that here as well. So this is more simple. On click, and you can say sign in with GitHub. So click GitHub, and after that it will try to authenticate with GitHub and authorize that, and after that it will redirect you to the application. We need to add this host avatars.github-user-content.com in our Next.js configuration. So in our next config, add this host name as well here, host name, and paste it here. And if you save that and come to the application, refresh this should be fixed. Now our application is back. We can see our image here in the right side, and if I come here in my account page, and here I am seeing my GitHub name and my GitHub email. So let's actually log in with GitHub, and if I do that, so after the login you can see, so I'm in the still login page. So what I can do is here is that after the login I can say go to the my account page, so we can redirect the user after the login. So to do that, in my sign in function I can pass options here. I can say the callbacks will be my account or the route that you wanna go, and this will be the same thing for our GitHub and Google. So let's try it. Now if I log out and log in, now it is coming back to the my account page after the login. Isn't it beautiful? So we are almost done in this tutorial. The last thing I want to show you is that how you can actually protect a client component and a server component. So first of all, let's go to the server component. So in the server component, I have this protected data. So the server component will be the easiest one, and here I just can do the same thing that I did previously. I can get the session from our auth, and auth will be from our auth setup, and we need to make it a sync function, and we can use this session to restrict or limit this component. So if there is no session, then return null. So that's all. So this is all for a server component. So let's go to our client components. The client component will be a little bit tricky because all the function that we have here is coming from our server. So how we can actually restrict our client component, and for that we need to use Next-Auth React, and we need to use a provider here. So this client component is in our home page, okay, and this client component we can wrap it with a session provider. So this session provider will come from Next-Auth React, and we will wrap it with our client component. And now inside this client component, and here we can call use session from Next-Auth React. So constant session equals to use session, and this will come from our Next-Auth React. And now I have our same stuff in our sessions. Actually in this session you have more things. So if you hover, you can see you have update session to update the session. You have the data of the session, which will be the user and other stuff that you have. And after that you also have the status. So here in the status you can see it could be authenticated, it could be unauthenticated or loading. But whenever it is unauthenticated or loading, there will be no data. So you can directly check the data, or you can directly check the status here. So I will check the status here. If session dot status is equals to unauthenticated, in that case return null. So this home page is currently protected by our middleware. So let's actually configure this middleware a little bit. So let's say that this matcher, let's comment it out. If I comment it out, and I will create a new matcher. But what you can do is you can actually specify which specific page you wanna protect. Like I wanna protect only my account page. The home page will be a public page. So you can use regex and other stuff. And if you wanna know more about this, you can come here in the Next.js and middleware. And here in the matcher, you can see how you can actually add matcher in different ways. But what I'm saying that, or you can actually add all the route that you want to protect in there. In my case, it is my account. So now here in my application, this homepage is public, but in this homepage I have two components. If you remember, one is the client and another one is the server, and both are protected individually inside the component, you can see. So this is how you can actually protect a specific component in a public page. Now if I log in with GitHub, so it will go back to my account, and if I come here in the home page, and all the component is here. Okay, fine. So here the conclusion is that most of the page of your application will be restricted by the middleware here, and some of the page that needs to be restricted in the component level will be done like in the component, if possible in a server way. Otherwise you can do it with client way. So I think I just showed you all the possible ways how you can use Next.js and Auth.js. And there is other things like how you can do role-based authentication or role-based access control and stuff like that. And if you want to know more about that, let me know. I can make a video. And also there is some other way to authenticate your user. If you remember in the Next-Auth, you can see you can use magic links, credentials, and web auth. These other ways can be done as well. And if you are interested in knowing how you can do that, you can let me know in the comment section. I will try to make a video on that. So this is it, guys. I hope you guys learned something from this video, and if you did, please subscribe the channel, and also don't forget to like and comment in this video. So my name is Arfan, and I will see you in the next video. Until then, take care, bye bye, and Khuda Hafiz.